WWE is opening a new Forbidden Door, plus they made a huge announcement, plus there's some changes that's happening in AEW. There's a lot of stuff we're going to talk about, and it's all happening right here on the Ango Show. Welcome back to TAS. I want to kick things off with AEW, straight from the source of Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select. AEW All Out will be moving from September 1st to Saturday, September 7th. AEW is expected to announce this imminently and move it due to fan response saying that All In and All Out are just too close together. Also, Sean Ross Sapp added in this tweet that Rampage and Collision will be live in Chicago that Friday. Great decision, honestly. Great decision. For AEW, it is way too close between All In and All Out. You push it back one more week. You know, that's very helpful. Listen, guys, I'm going to be so real here with AEW. The interest is declining very quickly for a lot of people. AEW needs to have a massive summer. I can't even tell you what it is. I think a lot of us have been saying for years now that the importance of each television show does not lead to the next show. There's just some inconsistency there. We see the comments. I see the comments. Every time I bring it up, I get chewed out for it. But at the end of the day, All Out is one of my favorite pay-per-views. Now All In was really fun last year. But I really just don't see how I can get excited about these pay-per-views. If I watch every week, it should be, pushing multiple angles to get me to that point where I'm excited about these pay-per-views. We have Double or Nothing. We have Forbidden Door. Obviously, with All In and All Out, those are the massive shows. I really hope AEW gets it right. Those are the shows that I'm the most interested in. And obviously with AEW right now, they're just a little bit inconsistent. Some weeks are really, really good, and some weeks are just outright, not even a word to describe them. I want to turn our attention to Bron Breakker. I don't want to spend too much time talking about this, but if you guys watched WWE Raw, you saw Bron Breakker absolutely destroy Cale Dixon. Then he goes on this rampage, and I just absolutely love what they're doing here. But the one thing that not a lot of people are talking about is what this is potentially leading to. Two things, right? The rumor is that Paul Heyman is the one who is very much involved in the creative direction for Bron Breakker. There is this belief that Paul Heyman could potentially be taking him under his wing, which makes a lot of sense. But what is this gearing towards, right? That's the real question here. Whatever is happening with Bron Breakker on TV, going on this massive rampage, all these different things, it really stems from Adam Pearce not putting him in the King of the Ring tournament. And what WWE is essentially doing here is building up Bron Breakker as the next big thing. And there is a little bit of a pun intended with that, because the direction for Bron Breakker seems to be the same one from when Brock Lesnar had made his debut. I believe that this is leading to Bron Breakker being traded to SmackDown. Bron Breakker's issue is not with the roster. Bron Breakker's issue is not with the WWE. Bron Breakker's issue in kayfabe, in storyline context, is that he has a problem with Adam Pearce and his decision making. I believe that WWE does want to do trades because of the draft and the free agency stuff. I believe that Bron Breakker's rampage is going to essentially lead to him going to SmackDown, and then eventually that could lead to him one day becoming a Paul Heyman guy. Me personally, as somebody who is a very big fan of this guy, I'm excited to see what they do. I feel like they've handled him very well. And it's a little bit different from how they're handling Lyra Valkyria. I think it's a little bit different from how they're handling Carmelo Hayes, right? Carmelo Hayes is going out there and he's having main event matches with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, and Bron Breakker is the guy who's going to come in and do a quick match and then go on a rampage and then be involved in backstage segments and stuff. Two different ways of coming up, but I like that. I like the idea of differentiating each call-up. I think that's pretty significant. I, for one, am very excited about this, and it looks like Bron Breakker getting traded to SmackDown is probably going to happen a lot sooner than later, and the reality is that's probably the best thing for his career, because after LA Knight, wins the U.S. title at SummerSlam, Bron Breakker does have an opportunity to become a mid-card champion, and what a great way to cement a heel going over LA Knight, right? Like, LA Knight is a top babyface at this point. If he were to win the U.S. title at SummerSlam and then he needs somebody to lose to, Bron Breakker is absolutely that guy. I want to turn our attention to a huge announcement by WWE. WWE is headed back to Japan. This one is exciting. They haven't been there in 5 years. WWE announced today that, they are going to do 3 shows in July at Edion Arena in Osaka, and then they'll go to Tokyo for the first time since 2019, and they're going to go and do that on July 26th and 27th back to back. Obviously, this is very exciting. WWE going to Japan is a great thing. WWE and Japan has a very interesting relationship, right? Because obviously in Japan, you have New Japan, you have Pro Wrestling Noah, you have all of these different companies. Then you have Stardom, and you have all of these different companies that exist out there. And WWE is trying to put out a global footprint, right? They want their prints on absolutely everything. And with WWE going to Japan, there is a lot more significance about this because of the fact that WWE has also brought in Giulia. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about Giulia, but it was revealed that she did have an injury this past weekend. We don't know how that's going to go in regards to her debut, but you have to imagine with WWE doing a live event in Japan that Giulia will also be involved in some capacity. Maybe that'll be her send-off. You never know. But I do see Giulia being involved in WWE when they come to Japan. Ultimately, in order to grow your footprint, you have to do shows out there. WWE doesn't have a relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling. AEW does, and AEW has not done a show in Japan. So I feel like WWE is already ahead of the curve because of the fact that they are really just right there, ready to, continue expanding. And obviously, part of that is due to relationships, which leads us to Rossy Ogawa. So we have talked about Rossy Ogawa's new promotion. Marigold is having a event, and guys, this is a very interesting thing here. They just did the show yesterday. Akira Tozawa, Io Sky, and Kairi Sane sent flowers to the company to celebrate their show. Their show. And now Dave Meltzer is talking about this and the relationship. He says, obviously, they want to get somebody from WWE as a big draw for the Sumo Hall show. That would be likely Kairi Sane or Io Sky, one or the other. Asuka apparently hates Rossy Ogawa, so there's no chance of that one happening. Well, very little chance, but it'll be interesting to see if WWE allows its talent to work, considering they're supposed to be working together. And look, this is how I look at it. WWE's breaking down the forbidden door, this time with a newer promotion. Rossy Ogawa was part of Stardom, no longer part of Stardom. Now he has his new promotion. Giulia's working there. Obviously, WWE is going to be doing their house show in Japan, and part of having those relationships that's important is not only bringing your shows to Japan, but also sending your talent to Japan to work with other promotions. Obviously, WWE recently did this with All Japan Pro Wrestling, where Charlie Dempsey was there. And then obviously you do have to factor in with WWE currently in 2024, right now as it stands, Pro Wrestling Noah wants to strengthen their relationship with WWE. So if WWE could kind of build like an alliance between Marigold and Pro Wrestling Noah and AJPW or whatever it may be, look, is it far-fetched? Maybe it is. But if WWE is going to bring in Giulia, if WWE is going to bring in talent, I do think it makes sense for them to send out talent. And listen, maybe according to Dave Meltzer, he's right here. Maybe Io Sky and Kairi Sane could make sense, right? Obviously, if WWE has this relationship being built out with them, you're going to bring the talent that have obviously worked with Rossy in the past. But also, I think it would be a good idea for WWE to send out some people that may not be from Japan as well, right? Natalya is a great example of somebody who's been training with a ton of Joshi wrestlers. Why not send her as well? Like, strengthen those relationships, and this way you have talent going there, they have talent coming here. Do the Forbidden Door the right way. You don't need to do pay-per-views together, but feature talent across both if it makes sense. And I believe that show is in July, which is around the same time WWE will be out there anyways, or maybe a few weeks before. So for WWE, it could make a lot of logistical sense to have talent out there anyways. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show.